We're live.
Okay. Nice to see you, Anquan.
Hi.
Anquan, meet Daniela,
Hi,
who I
Daniela.
think is new here. She's from Georgia. She is a medical interpreter,
Wonderful.
um, and she points out that there are all sorts of undocumented people who do not have access to medical services and prosthetics.
Mm.
And she and her husband are running as fast as they can to sort of try to get in the game and begin bridging to that community.
Oh,
So
that's
that
great.
was revelation number one. Anquan is a cardiologist in where exactly?
Oh,
Northern
California.
California,
California, yeah.
California. And he works with uh, Manley, who I met not so long ago in Berkeley. And they have championed the project we have going with Uganda, but are also becoming leaders of the new e-NABLE, which is one of the reasons why they are here and why I want to finish giving you a few revelations from the last meeting. So the second revelation is that the device matrix on the e-NABLE hub has not been revised for 5 years. And it doesn't include, for example, the Kwawu 3.0, but there is a spreadsheet. I have it right here, but Sarah will have to allow me to share.
You can share. And I also just want to say, for people who are new, that we record these meetings and we have them up on YouTube in case people want to go back to them later. Um, so um, if there's if you're not okay with that, please let me know. And yeah, if there's um anything that you want to discuss after the official meeting, just uh yeah, let us know and save
Sure.
it for the end. But just wanted to let new people know that these meetings are recorded and streamed on YouTube. So
Good. Thank you.
um yeah.
Um, so anyway, we have this matrix, which I've just, here we are again. And if we look at the Kwawu, all they list is the 2.0s. So this is an example of why a fresh look at our entire enterprise would be worthwhile. But I also have good news from the last meeting, which is that e-NABLE France's website, and how do they spell it? e-NABLE.fr, which loads slowly, but as you can see, I may have clicked the wrong link. Here we go, English. It now works in English as well as in French, and it is quite a good, modern, effective website. Their charter, which we just looked at, interesting. So they link to enabling the future. Their charter says we do France and Europe, but either we should clone it with their permission, or we should get them to accept responsibility, Melina Brown's from 10 years ago, for becoming the central website for the whole group, or Anquan may have other intentions that he wants to raise also. But,
Mhm.
we've had an ongoing challenge. We have enabling the future, which was there at the very beginning and is responsible for our notoriety and reputation all over the world. We have the e-NABLE Hub.
Mhm.
We have the map, which, by the way, we also discovered the 2 chapters in Georgia did not respond to Daniela's queries. So
Mhm.
there's another area of optimization we need to look at. And on Quan, I'm not sure whether you got news, but Jonathan, who has been handling badging and technical support on the hub,
Mm-hmm.
is also trying to step back, although he is gratefully with us. So
Mhm.
it's a really good moment to try to get the big picture and to think about where do we go from here? Because we have a lot to work with right now.
Okay.
So there's the update. Welcome to the Chapter Leaders meeting. We invited Terry, who let us know about this new website but didn't show up, and Everton and a few other major leaders, but they didn't reply to Sarah's email address. So here we are.
We do have a couple more, a few more people with us though. So,
Okay, I don't see them, so let's
if we want
stop
to just
screen
have
sharing.
people, say hello.
Yes. Okay. Well, I know Alexander and I recognize Asam's name. So let's say hello and catch up. That was a brief hello, Alexander. Please remind people who you are and why you're here.
Hi everyone, I'm Alexander. I used to contribute with designs, and I used to be active in the e-NABLE community. Right now, I'm running a startup called 3D API, where we have manufacturing partners all around the world with 3D printing, and in our day-to-day lives, we take orders from various companies around the world, and we route them to local manufacturers. And I'm here to see if we can be of any help with e-NABLE.
That's great. Do you have a map showing where you have outlets, if you will?
Let me see if I can find one on our website. I think so.
That's great. And while we're waiting for that, Asan, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, sir. Hello.
Where are you here from, Asan?
I don't know how to enable mic. My
Yeah, we
mic
hear
is
you.
We can hear you.
hello.
He doesn't
Hi.
hear us.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Hello, can you tell everyone where you are?
I'm from Balochistan, Pakistan.
Very good. Nice to
Thank
meet you.
you. Thank you so much for joining us today. So Asan presented at a chapter leaders meeting a couple of months ago. So how are you doing?
I'm great, fine.
Any news about your chapter? How's it going?
It's great, sir. I'm waiting for my website.
So
Can you?
Asan asked for some help in developing a website to direct people who in Pakistan who might need services to.
That's right. I was in that meeting, wasn't I? And did I invite him to send me materials and then did I respond?
Um,
It's all coming
yes,
back to me.
yes. He did send some materials about the work that he's doing, but I think we're looking for someone who would be able to help put together a website.
I remember he was going to put something on the forum. I do remember. I was
Yes,
at that.
I did. I put something on the forum, and I haven't gotten any responses for
I
that yet.
see.
So,
And he just wanted, Islan, you just wanted a website. Is that correct?
You're talking to me, sir?
yes,
Yes.
Yes.
You had previously requested that somebody help you put together a website.
Yes, sir. Yes.
And that's
I
still the
requested for
case.
my build a website for my where
So,
I can run also for funding, crowdfunding also for
Mhm.
tools for basic needs.
I see. How many hands have you constructed thus far? Or prosthetics?
Since 2009, I'm working this.
Mm-hmm.
I got my injury in 2007. After 2 years, I started this. I'm
And have you
helping the
done
people in my city, my area.
That's great. That's
Um,
great.
and I think you're also helping people adapt wheelchairs, right? Is that
Yes, adapting wheelchair, the other devices.
okay? Do you know how many people you've worked with?
Mm, maybe 18, 20, like this.
Well, Isan, if nobody responds to your call for help, I know of quite a few people who could probably help you. I just wanted to give the rest of the community a try. But um,
Actually, sir, I don't have a setup here.
mhm,
I'm working in my single room. I'm too much disturbed here. Can't work
Sure.
properly.
mhm,
I want manage a separate place to make a setup.
I see. So my question is you're asked to help you with a website and what else did you need? I'm sorry.
A, a funding where I make a small shed. There I work. Bamboo shed
A bamboo
to
shed,
start it. Yes.
I
Um,
see.
And he mentioned crowdfunding. So
Crowdfunding.
it seems to me
Isan,
we ought to be
And
able to
some
make a,
basic tools. I need also. I need some tools. I don't have
uh,
enough tools.
I
Isan,
see.
Some
is it okay
outdated
if I
tools.
is it okay if I put your email address in the chat in case anyone here um wants to communicate with you directly?
I have his email and I can forward it to,
Okay.
I think I have his email. I can forward it to Anquan.
Okay. I can do that right
Sarah,
away.
Okay,
has
good.
nobody else responded on the hub to his
No.
request?
No.
Okay. Isan, if we got on board with this, you'd have to give us a couple of months. The people that I work with are in the midst of getting ready for a world championship robotics competition, so their brains are a little too full. Then right after that, they have AP tests. So, but I have a lot of students who are adept and could do things like that. But you might have to wait till it's like June. Is that
Uh,
okay?
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah. And then we would need things like photographs and things about you, like about your organization, what you've done so far. And it's easier to build a website when we have more information. If
um
you could just email like information about what you do and what you've done so far. You said you've been working for several years on this project, and we would love photographs and things like that and stories of things you've done that'll make generating a website much easier.
We have,
I give all. If someone ready to make it, I will share all things in it.
Okay. All right. Give us till June to get started on a thing like that because we have most of my volunteers are all high school students, so they're very adept, but they have a lot of things happening. But June, I think they would be more free.
Okay.
uh, and it's on, once they're available, that's your chance. At that point, you don't want them sitting around waiting for your materials. So you should really pull it all together. I'm confident that we can do this. If Anquan's students can't do it in June, I could do it in June with my AIs. But what you need to do, and you can work with Sarah on this, is pull together everything we would need in order to create a website. Pictures, stories about you, anything that's been written about you, what you need. If you know how to sort of create an argument for crowdfunding, do that. Give us all the ingredients.
Sir, I make a list of tools, and I told you about control system of wheelchair, power wheelchair
um
Powered
that I need.
wheelchair, interesting. Uh-huh.
yeah, I think we would I I think we would for a website we would need have you helped anyone with prosthetic devices on
Here is
hands?
patient. You're talking to me?
Yes.
Yes.
Here is patients, they need the 3D printed limbs,
Okay, but
Limbs.
you
but here
haven't.
is no facility here.
Okay. So you haven't printed a hand yet.
Yeah, I also want to set up a lab for 3D printing.
Okay.
Okay. So you have been doing wheelchairs and things, and you
Also,
don't
I
yet
can
have
do it.
you can do it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Send us all of the information
Hmm.
and copy on Quan and me and Sarah. And Sarah, maybe what you can do is look at the materials he sent and keep on asking him for more if he's not sending enough.
Okay.
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 All right,
Great.
good. These days, a website should not be holding anyone up. That is something that we can support.
Um,
Okay, Alexander, you were showing us your map or looking for it.
Yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't able to find an official one, but I just pasted in chat the official list of the regions where we have direct presence. We often
Great.
have multiple farms in the same location. I'm
Mhm.
gonna need to put on my to-do list to make to make an official map.
Okay. And do you think there's the possibility that some of your outposts would print for e-NABLE on a volunteer basis if they don't have other jobs?
I'm fairly certain at least some of them would.
Okay. So that's another useful asset to have in mind.
And this
Oh,
is
but they,
a crowdsourced group of printers, or this is serve printer farms that you're aware of?
These are direct partners of ours.
Oh, I see.
and it's a commercial operation.
Yeah.
But it's a network. And by the way, I see that you have partners in India and Iran.
Yeah, those are more recently joined in the network. They are not official partners, as in we're in the process of
Sure.
onboarding them. It's probably going to take a lot of time because not a lot of orders in China.
Okay, great. So Manlin and Anquan, any updates on your thinking about e-NABLE going forward?
Yeah. So Jonathan, good luck to you on your endeavors, stepping back from doing all the badging and things like that. Um, I'd like to know a little bit more about Daniela's work before we move forward. What have you been doing in Georgia? I
Please.
would love to hear about it.
Well, we just started.
Uh-huh.
It was February when I found out about e-NABLE. So ever since then, I've contacted the two chapters that are here in Georgia, but I haven't heard anything back. So I sent some emails to try to get in contact with them or to see if we could take over the Atlanta chapter because if I'm gonna do a training in June. Hopefully I get accepted, but it's a Latino community fund. So they pay you $300 to go and learn how to be a leader and civic engagement and things like that. But after those 3 days, you can qualify if you present a good enough idea that can help your company, not your company, your community.
Mm-hmm.
And they give you funding consistently of $2,500, and that
Mm.
would help a lot. So me and my husband, we printed a 3D hand and then we sent in for like the badges and stuff like that. And John mentioned at the beginning, a big sector in this is I'm a medical interpreter. So there's a really big need for prosthetics for undocumented people.
Sure.
Especially there's a really big language barrier as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Also, another thing that I didn't get to mention in the chapter meeting that we just did, um, I was saying that there's no chapter or anything like this in Mexico.
Mm.
I have two cousins that are doctors over there, one uncle that's a doctor, and I have also a cousin that's a nurse.
Yeah.
The cousin
Hmm.
that's not a nurse, the cousin that's a nurse, she isn't working right now. So I asked her, "Hey, is there any way that maybe you could help me do this and we can start a chapter in Mexico? And then you send me the orders and then we can start sending them out there as well as here in Atlanta."
Mhm.
She said, "Yeah, I'm totally down for all of that. Just let me know." But I was telling her I need to meet with people first in order for me to have a little bit more understanding of how you all work and get these things out there. I made some posts on Instagram. I'm getting a lot of support so far, but I need to connect with the people. And I was telling them in the other chapter meeting as well that all I have to do is make a post in this Facebook group with, it's like Latinos in Georgia, and there's several groups like that, and they're so active. So if I could just make a post saying that, I probably would get inquiries. I was telling them as well. Um, I do a lot of interpretations at the children's hospital, but I do also a lot of workers' comp and injuries interpretations. And a lot of those patients, we go to a lot of orthopedic appointments, and a lot of them, physical therapies as well. A lot of them have partial amputations in their hands. So that's also a really big thing that I'm around that every day.
Mm.
That's all I have so far.
Daniela, we probably should get on a call separately from this chapters meeting, if you wouldn't mind.
Yes, yes, of
Um,
course.
so our group has had some experience in helping chapters get started. So what John is referring to is there's really kind of there's two versions of Enable. There's the current version, and there's the layer that John and Malin and I would like, and I guess other people on this call would like to create. The layer that currently exists is a very good layer, which is it's kind of a decentralized, volunteer group that where people start their own chapters, and then um, they take existing designs and they print them for people they find in need. Either they hook up through the hub itself, or they have a need in their community, like you've identified a need in your community and a need internationally, right? Um, the layer that we'd like to kind of get started, and you may be our test case in some ways, is the unmet need of not just one or two people, but the unmet need of hundreds of people. Okay, and it's a very different kind of layer that requires centralization. And so Malin and I have some experience in this last year. And this past year, we've made 100 hands for Uganda. Not us two specifically, but we organized the effort. And it sounds like you have a similar need of kind of like a large ask. And the current layer of Enable, it's very difficult to do that for somebody just getting started like yourself. So,
Mm-hmm.
and so we, Malin and I and John and I have been talking about how we can meet that need, how we can, and we have people like Alexander willing to reach out to a lot of 3D printer farms out there commercially. And so there's a lot of ways we can do this. I would like to talk to you offline, but as part of the larger discussion John was asking for is, and some of the people on this phone call have heard it, one of the ways that Enable has trouble is if somebody has a large ask, there isn't a lot of resources yet to kind of help that person meet that ask. I don't know if that makes sense. So like the number one example would be what we worked with Peter O'Donnell, World Action Fund. He made an ask of, hey, I have 700 identified cases here. Can anybody help me? And with the decentralized presence of Enable at present, it would be very hard for anybody, any individual to make 100 arms or 800 arms. You'd really need an organization of volunteers to do that. And Enable's not really set up to do that. And we'd like to change that to add the extra layer of somebody who's got a big ask like you, um, let's say you're not just making one or two, but you've identified 50 cases. Are you really going to make 50 arms all by yourself?
Well, it's me and my husband so far, but since
Yeah,
I started posting on Instagram, people are like, "How can I help? How can I
yeah,
donate?" So I needed to have some kind of communication with you all for
yeah.
me to be able to relay that information because people are interested and they want to know how it works. And
Hmm.
I'm on Facebook and the Instagram, and I just got on TikTok and I got like 700 likes on just the pan that I printed. So it's out there. I just need to figure out how to
Yeah.
connect with the people that need them.
Okay. So we should talk offline and figure out how we can support you. I think that makes sense. Probably not,
Yes.
it's probably not the best forum for that. So can you, Sarah, do we have her email or something like that? Or maybe somebody can get that and
Daniela, can you uh, give us your email?
Yes, of course. I will put it in the chat.
Good. So we are confronted by insurmountable opportunities.
yeah, I think so. And Daniel, I like the fact that you have contacts in Mexico. There are plenty of developing nations that have kind of started organizations, but Brazil, John, you were telling me that it's almost like a national effort. And Uganda, it's more of a private charitable contribution network. Um, and so I'm kind of shocked that our next door neighbor doesn't have any sort of enable presence. Is that true?
That's I can't think of one now. No, there's a now professor
Hmm.
at Northeastern University, Saif Savage, Saiph
Hmm.
Savage, whose brother, they're both from Mexico, and the brother has been involved, as has she, with Enable relevant projects in Mexico. But I have to admit, I'm not aware of a Mexican chapter.
I tried to look for one, but I couldn't find one.
So, and then the other thing, Daniela, that you've highlighted. So we have a couple options for support for you. So we should talk offline about that. One would just be helping you build your own organization. The other would be building your own organization and support on our end from how we can help your organization specifically. And then the second thing I think you've kind of addressed, and we've addressed on one of these calls, John, is chapters disappearing and we're not knowing they don't exist anymore.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if that means with the decentralized structure of Enable, maybe we have to create something more like you get an email ping once a year, you need to respond to it. And if you don't, we delete your name off the list.
We have done that. We have
Yeah,
done that every few years, and
yeah,
clearly we're due to do that.
Yeah,
yeah.
no, I've done that manually. It's been a couple of years, so um it's time to do that again. It's a lot of work. And also um like we tried to get uh, to have it be more automated. Like I tried to send out first a more detailed survey to try to get
Mhm,
answers from every chapter, like how many devices have you made, how many people are in your chapter, what kinds of events do you participate in, like to just try to like get a picture of what an active chapter means, because that can mean very different things from one
mhm,
chapter to
mhm,
another. And no one responded to um, like all of those questions. And then I tried to send out another automated email from the platform we use where I send out the monthly newsletters. I tried to send out another email, saying, "Okay, no questions, just respond and tell us yes or no. Are you still active?" No one responded to that either. I had to individually, manually, with my um, email address that has my name in it, and without just uh, a human email from a person reach out to every single chapter and say, hey, are you active? Tell me what you're doing. And a lot of people didn't respond to the first email, so I had to email everyone again saying, one more chance, tell me what you're doing, or your chapter will be deactivated. And then after 2 emails, they were like, oh, sorry, I meant to respond to the first one and then forgot. And I know a couple of chapters that didn't respond at all and I know that they're very active. So that's been a difficult thing to try to manage.
Yeah.
Especially in an automated way. I don't, especially, and like, yeah, I
So
mean,
the story demonstrates that in many cases they are out there, but getting signs of life from them is torture.
Maybe we should sit down and try to understand how to, because the problem is we'll have problems like Daniela, who she's reaching out to 2 chapters that are either defunct or they just don't respond to emails, which is the same as
we
defunct.
had, we, we had, uh, um, chapter, in Atlanta. They presented at an education meeting, but I think that was, a couple of years ago now, and we haven't
Hmm.
heard anything from them since, so they might have
Well,
stopped.
so it's interesting though. If you can dig up those people, Daniela might be able to track them down and
Well,
get a story.
I did. I told you I felt like I was being kind of creepy. I emailed them and then I used their personal email and then I texted them and then I looked on Instagram and I looked up their names and I found them. But again, I didn't want to message them and be super creepy, but I don't know. If you think I should do that, I'll do it.
It's fair game. I think it's fair game if they're uh
I don't think he's in the
and
state
you can ask
anymore.
them, you can tell them that we believe they should probably be taken off the map uh unless they can prove otherwise, and that will be a good clue. You can
Okay.
act as our agent in making that inquiry.
Okay, I'm
Again,
down.
people do move on. There's nothing wrong with that, but we
Yeah.
need to know.
So, John, is the goal, and Sarah, is the goal of the map to show active chapters so that people who need to reach out, they can find those people? Is that the goal of the map?
That
Yes.
was the original goal. Absolutely.
Yeah, the there is no need to show and preserve chapters that have been active historically but no longer are.
Okay.
So,
There are quite a few like that. Okay. And then probably at some point, I don't remember the terms of service when I signed up for a chapter, but I did in the middle of the night, so I actually don't remember reading any of it. But I will say this: probably we need, if it's not already there, we should have something in there that says thank you for establishing a chapter. We will be checking in with you once a year. Please respond. If you don't respond, we may have to temporarily deactivate your chapter until you respond, something like that. And we could just make it super nice. We're not trying to penalize anybody, but
Well,
I
that's
think,
true, but you should be aware that we have done that, and
yeah.
you get approximately 0 responses back,
And
and
then,
yet they're out there.
so there has to
for,
be a way.
from the automated email that I send out from our listserv, like no engagement from me, like spending a very long time manually, personally emailing everyone twice, we got responses. So if there was like, yeah.
I have a possible insight with
Hmm.
regard to this. We used to have, until COVID came, and then we didn't pick up again the tradition, we used to have an annual e-NABLE. Not everyone came, but we would get 30 to 50 people from all over the country who would show up.
Mhm.
And in my experience, the occasional act of looking someone in the eye while sitting in the next room creates a relationship and a sense of obligation that all of this online stuff does not do. And I think we may be suffering from that we've sort of faded into the background of the internet noise zone, and we're losing the human connection, which is the difference between responding to an email from a person you know and care about versus responding to an email that just is one among millions in your mailbox.
Mhm.
The implication of that is that we should be thinking about a conference, maybe in France. I mean, I think e-NABLE France has just stepped up to a leadership role, but I'm not saying we should take that step. I'm saying it's obvious to me that maybe we should take that step.
Okay, that's a thought. Is it possible, John, that e-NABLE as a internet presence is not the same presence it had 10 years ago?
Oh, it's more than
Okay.
possible. That is clearly the case. There's no
Okay.
question.
All right. Do you think it's more because of, like I said, the internet noise and like all sorts of other things happening? Why do you think that is?
So first of all, in our heyday,
Hmm.
uh, we were media stars, right? It was 3D printing, it was the internet, it was kids smiling, and it was news all over the world. So we were riding a wave of publicity then, which happens rarely, if ever, and did happen once. Number two, uh, I was very active, and I've heard other people say that this was important, but I was very active going around the world giving talks about this because I was being invited, and they were good talks, and they kept things going. Skip Metz, who worked with me, and I were at a conference in Portland that was trying to create a global movement of prosthetic makers. And the guy there said, how come it's not really taking, how come my attempt to do this is not taking off? Skip said, well, it's because you're not out there giving talks the way John was giving talks. So that's an element. How much of an element it is, I don't know. And there was a core group that was quite active and developing new designs and engaging people in a way that your group in NorCal is now doing, but we were doing it sort of in this global arena. So much so that on not one but two occasions, Google.org reached out to us and said, we love what you're doing because you use YouTube and use the internet, and we'd like to support it. So there was just all of those things converging. Now, as COVID approached, we were planning the next e-NABLECon, and we had gone through, as we've discussed, a number of changes over the years. And literally, when reports of COVID began coming, we said, maybe we should wait a week or two before we flip the switch on this conference. And of course, the rest is history. Those rumors of COVID became that strange chapter in history. And most of us got involved in most of the original true believers and evangelists acquired other dominant activities. So, I'm still happy to go and give talks about e-NABLE, and I've done it in Portugal several times in the last 5 years. And I think I took one other trip, but those invitations are not rolling in the way they used to. So that's sort of my account of the story, right? Is that we had a moment. We now have an ongoing movement. I'm not saying it's all moribund, but it's in disarray, clearly. And I've mentioned from my own perspective some of the changes that I think are responsible for that. There may be others, and including that without the big publicity, there has been a shortage in our world of people saying, I want one of these. And so that also has, as you know, left a number of American makers who were the backbone of the movement at the time saying, I signed up to make hands for kids and I'm not getting kids to make hands for.
All right. So that last part, I think we can fix. That last, or fix is the wrong word, we can help with. The gap right now is individuals who have access to the internet and can find prosthetic arms. We've tapped out that market, right? There's just onesies and twosies here and there. It's the individuals who don't have that kind of access or don't even know they have that kind of access, such as the group that the undocumented immigrants that Danielle is talking about, or the people in war-torn parts of Uganda, or
Exactly so.
those are the people that we need to set up an infrastructure for. And this is what I'm talking about. So that's what Enable currently lacks, what Norcon has been able to fill on our end from our side. And I think we can help Daniela figure out how to organize on her side and see if she needs support. And we have people who can support. And if we're not enough to support, we know people who can support. And so it's about creating a network of interested people. Some of the things that we've been talking about is organizations that have ready access to 3D printers and thousands of kids looking to get into college are essentially robotics organizations, just like mine. They're competitive robotics. These are they have ready set mentors ready to go to help them with these kind of issues. And so I feel like that's an untapped potential to help groups like Daniela. Daniela, we would need somebody on your end, which is you essentially, to organize the effort on your side. But if there's things like, hey, I'd like to make hands, but I realize I have 100 hands that need to be made, and I only have 2 3D printers, maybe it's not practical for me to make all of them. So we could help you organize making some and having them shipped there, or even organizing an effort in Georgia. So I think it's very exciting, the concept of it. I think that those are the initial starts is trying to find where the need is so that we can direct makers in that direction. And so you're right. If I've made 2 3D printed hands, but then nobody else needs one, well, that hobby is done.
That's right.
Right. As far as speaking tours and things like that, was this something you volunteered for, or you were asked to come speak?
Typically, typically people would reach out to me. We were so in the news.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there were days during the peak when I would be doing 1 to 3 radio or interviews a day.
Oh, wow.
Right. This was like the greatest thing since sliced bread for a moment.
Right.
And from that initial burst of publicity, people would say, "Would like you to come give a talk." Those
Mm-hmm.
talks are on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
They're not hard to find, and I actually have a little scrapbook of them.
All right.
But that was 2015, 2014. It's been a while.
So then I guess, this really is a few issues then. Number one is organizing the people in need. Once we organize the people in need, such as Uganda, Mexico, apparently Georgia, and I mean, we've had calls from West Bank, we've had calls from Gaza. Is very hard to ship to. Like I still haven't cracked that nut of how to get things to Gaza. But
Yes,
organizing the people. Go
I
ahead.
agree with that, Anquan, and
Yeah.
I think it's still a story,
Yeah.
especially recast as a Hands Across the Oceans effort. Hands Across the Oceans. There's something in that. Hands Across the Oceans effort. It would play, especially in these troubled times. I think it's still a very good story, but it needs either the luck or the engineering to make the public narrative popular again.
Would you ever be down to come to Georgia? I had made a post on Nextdoor about the hand, and I had someone reach out to me that was from Georgia Tech, and they were like, "What's your educational background? Because we'd love to know more about this." I don't have a 50 years of experience in this, but if you would love to come talk, I could connect you with someone for that.
Malin, didn't we just do a research project in Georgia Tech?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, there's a very good group of Georgia Tech. Let's
there's a
make that connection.
Georgia Tech student who was doing a research project, which apparently the paper's going to be written sometime this month, and she just interviewed us like a month or two ago. That's funny. It's funny you say that.
That is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, sure, I'd be willing to do anything. But I guess at this point, all right, we'll have to figure out what that means, John. Like if we want to start being part of the mind space again of the internet.
Yeah.
Because I don't feel like we're there. But the question is, I guess it could be in parallel. You don't have to think about it separately. Because I was trying to think, should we just get the infrastructure set up first and then get going? But then I work better.
No,
I work better under
frankly,
pressure.
I think that the detritus that has accumulated over 15 years, 15, 12 years, is sending the wrong message. So I think if we were to just say, hey, we're here, people will start trying to figure out, I want to know more about this organization, and they will be confused, and they will see a plethora of websites, and they'll see pins on the map that are out of date. So I think it has to proceed in parallel. I don't think genuinely in parallel, not necessarily you have to clean up totally first, but you do need to decide what is our best foot forward. And today, I think it might be Enable France as the public-facing side. We need to talk to them about it. And that's what you point people to.
What did you say, Sarah?
I'm sorry. Alexander is raising his hand.
Hi, Alexander.
Yeah. Is the current, with the needs that are in Georgia, is the current problem that the hands cannot be made, or is it the maker input to actually adjust the hands for each particular case?
It is the finding the people to give it to, because we have the space for it. We have the time to do it. It's just since we're hitting the undocumented and the only Spanish speaking communities, it's been a little hard.
Yeah, probably the only way to approach them would be going viral on TikTok in Spanish.
Well, that's what I was saying. There's groups here, like Latinos in Georgia, that I can just make a post and I know I will get feedback on or inquiries. But I needed to talk to you guys first to see how I would go about that, or just present it in a more professional way, not just someone making stuff in their basement, because
that's fair.
I can, you know.
Well, most of Enable is people making stuff in their basement outside of Alexander. So,
and he started making stuff in his basement. So
that is true.
We turned our whole closet into a lab. So we all
so
have anywhere to
Daniela,
put our clothes anymore.
We are very clear that we are amateurs trying to fill a gap. That's always been the Enable message, and it's still true. And it's true, as you can see, on a global as well as a local scale. What you have pointed out today, which I'm just embarrassed I hadn't thought about, is that all of these oppressed and neglected, undocumented in this country who are under tremendous duress may well be the North American population that we should have been going for many years. And it's a wonderful time. And it, by the way, might add to the media story for us, although we'll have to be careful.
Yeah, I think we have to be
for
careful,
us to begin trying to fill that niche.
Okay, Daniela, we should get in touch within the next week if you're free.
Yes, I am.
And I have your
Friday
email
is my
now.
least busy day.
Friday
Yes,
is
we
what?
can coordinate through email. Is my least busy day. I just have one interpretation that day.
Okay, maybe we'll let me figure out my end. I think Friday might work for me depending on the hour. So let me sort it out on my end, and then I will get in touch with you today.
Okay, perfect.
I have one other point to make. One of the most successful chapters and one of the most charismatic Enable leaders we've had has been in Honduras.
Oh, wonderful.
And it's partly because he came and did an internship with me 10 years ago that he now lives in Rochester. He's not actively involved in e-NABLE because he's now an engineer at a company with a real job, but he can put us in touch with the Honduran chapter, which has also, I think, become sort of integrated with the medical establishment in Honduras. And he might be a really good advisor to you, Daniela. I think a
Yes.
Latino leadership effort within e-NABLE is an idea whose time came today.
You're gonna make me cry. I've been trying to do this for so long, especially the undocumented people, because our health, since they're so scared to go to the doctor and they don't have the money to go to the doctor, there's such a big barrier. And a lot of them, a lot. My husband's whole family has diabetes. It's it's such a big need. It's a really big need, but they don't even, since since a lot of them that come to this country come from like little small towns and like
Of
ranches,
course.
the idea of a 3D printer is like super in the future for them. Like they had no idea it even exists. So the fact
By the
that we're
way,
able to, no, go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I
I
just wanted to
also,
say one thing I want you to be careful about is setting expectations. These are not miracle devices,
No.
and they, in our experience, their major function is social and psychological, right? They're not going to play the piano now that they've got these devices. Um, so you just don't want to get people all excited and then have them be disappointed. But they can give people something that looks like a hand. They can give something, kids something that makes them very excited. And in some situations, it's a real benefit. I mean, we do have welders who are back in work because they got eventually really good, robust devices, but that's the exception, not the rule.
So, going back to what you just said in that, giving them the visual aid and it being something like that. So, I love Enable as like a starting point because I take these personal courses with people that have been in the film industry that are currently still in the industry, and I asked them to help me sculpt a hand, sculpt an ear. I don't know if you're familiar with anaplastology. I would love to build on top of that with Enable as well. So I in May I have another course that I'm gonna take to learn to sculpt even better and mold make, and then start hopefully being able to put that. Yeah, so I'm so busy all the time. I'm so happy I got to finally connect, and I put every meeting that you guys have in my calendar, but I always end up getting an interpretation, and the interpretation gives me money so I can pour more into this. So hopefully we get more
Yeah,
funding soon.
great. By the way, you did touch on another point, Daniela, which I want to encourage you to. Um, Many of the people who came to e-NABLE wanted their true love was 3D printers. Then they said, hey, I can do something really exciting with 3D printers. And then they fell into the e-NABLE romance. And so they became sort of 3D printed, 3D printing enabled humanitarians. That's all great. But we have been overly focused because of the demographics on 3D printing as the one and only technique for helping people. And as a medical interpreter, and if you know occupational therapists, you know that ultimately the patients are people. They're not just
Mhm.
device recipients, and they have individual needs which are often served by a doorknob holder, not a hand, or by some other assistive device, or
Yeah.
by something that can't be 3D printed, but with a little ingenuity in two hands, you can help with. So I want you to feel really free to help us
um,
understand what the real needs are and how we can take advantage of our existing community and the new community that will organize around these new visions that you and Anquan and Manlin are beginning to develop.
Okay.
Um, I also, the meeting is almost over. We have 6 minutes left. Tom has had a raised
Ah,
hand for a
sorry.
while.
Hello,
Oh,
Tom.
you're fine. This is all fascinating, and I hope Danielle the best luck. My question was for Anquan. I'm trying to get involved with the Uganda project. I finally got my badge. Thank you, Jonathan, for reviewing my device and getting that approved. I'm ready to get going full force on this. I've reached out multiple times, but I've gotten no response. So
You reached
the
out to which
the North Cal email group and on Discord, Florence Hugh. And I know everyone's busy, but I didn't know if there were some other people that, because I know people take breaks and stuff too. They got their
No,
lives.
unfortunately what you're running into right now is all the kids are getting ready for a world championship competition right now. So that's probably what you're hitting right now. I'll reach out to Florence. She just texted me on something else, so I'll reach out to Florence. We've taken a bit of a pause on the project just as a regrouping. Not because we don't like the work. We're just trying to re-examine how we're doing it. Because John and I and Manuel and I have had long discussions about whether we need to reorg how Uganda is done. But for sure, you're not missing out on any opportunities. We actually took a little bit of a pause. So, but
And that's fine.
I'll have Florence reach out to you. But we are going to. It's funny you asked me that. Peter just World Action Fund Peter Adama just reached out to me 2 days ago. So I have to respond to his email. But yeah,
Well,
for sure.
and if I can help too, I lived 3 years in Central Africa there, and
Did you really?
dealt a lot with security cooperation, providing medical support, running an HIV program for the entire country. So understanding that last mile, I've got some experience with. I don't say I know all the aspects, but having lived there 3 years, trying to help out in various ways, I'm looking forward to helping out. Even possibly traveling back there. I still have contacts in Burundi and Rwanda.
I may ask you to do that. I'll be honest.
I have no issue with that. I'm retired. I've got time and lots of miles on United. So, but yeah, if you
the budget
feel free.
just fell in half.
Well, I can use and I can put my email in there.
Yeah, why don't you put your email and then I'll directly reach out to you as well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
This conversation has gone far enough down the road that I do think on Quan and Manlan, it really makes sense to think about sending Tom to Uganda with everything he needs to give us a good field report and to grease the skids. You don't do it on a moment's notice, but we have the money. We could support that. If it was a prudent investment and it just became a bargain because we don't have to pay for the airfare, I think it might be a great thing to do.
I think it's a good idea. So Tom, we should touch base offline then. I think that's a good idea. Let's touch base and Manon and I can tell you our issues over in Uganda right now.
Not a problem.
Yeah. Oh, I see your email. Let me just copy it here. So, are you free tomorrow morning by any chance?
I am.
Okay.
Feel free to call anytime or write. And I'll pass my phone number to you.
So Daniela and Tom, I think I'm going to be talking to both of you tomorrow, if that's okay.
Yes, of course.
So I think it's easier just to. I do have some free time tomorrow morning, unless I get called away for a heart attack. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I'm on call.
That's more important.
Hopefully neither happens.
All right. Okay.
Just had a couple of quick notes. Danielle, I know you mentioned the partial hand amputation, so that's potentially an issue you guys will have to talk about, finding a correct model for that specific issue. And then also, Sarah, it sounds like there's a lot of modernization efforts that have to happen with the website, with contacting chapters. Would you be free anytime? I don't want to step on your tail or anything if you already have a plan for this, but maybe we could work together on identifying some of those sort of administrative issues.
Yeah, I'll email you and we can set up a time to talk about that.
That's great. Thank you. I'm pretty free next week, so.
You might want to include Jonathan in that. He knows a lot of what goes on under the hood, and he's trying to liberate himself from that. But he has some scripts and some documentation about what the current processes are. I suspect we will revamp the processes totally by the time we're done, but it would be important to know where we're at.
Awesome. Well, one last thing, John and Madeline and I think Sarah was there too. I don't recall, but we had talked about this, like right now, people make wonderful designs and then they submit them, or they get together and make wonderful designs and submit them. But there are specific needs that we have on the website of as far as specific types of designs. I would like more examples of above the elbow amputation designs. We have the NIOP, we have like maybe one or two other things. Victoria Hand has their own thing, but we have enough crowdsourced engineers where I feel like we should start bringing the crowdsourced engineers together for particular designs. So
Now,
go ahead.
Are you aware of David Allentuck's initiative?
Mm-hmm.
So he has revived that practice. Alexander used to be heavily involved in it also. So I just want to make sure you're aware of it. I agree. There's more that could be done along those lines, and they're focusing on one particular thing. There are other things you want to organize.
Well, what are they
people around.
specifically making right now? Maybe I'm misunderstanding which project they're on.
If I remember correctly, they are working on what I would describe as a good-looking and more adaptable modular gripper hand and arm combination.
Mm-hmm. And that's for below the elbow. That's okay. That's okay.
I'm not positive.
We can communicate by email. It looks like Tom has another question. Hey, Tom.
No, I'm sorry. I'm good. Thanks.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. I think for our next steps, I'll go ahead and reach out to Tom and Daniela today, and then or tomorrow. Today for tomorrow's meetings, and then I still need to meet with Peter. But the next thing I'd like to do, Asan, I sent you an email, and I think you sent me one back. I just haven't had a chance to look at it yet. But I do want to say this: the last thing that we didn't really talk about is we should send out a message eventually on the hub and say we're going to be looking for engineers or designers or prostheticists specifically for designing new prosthetics or improving existing designs, but maybe on a more like giving them a hub to say, because we always get people who say, how can I contribute? How can I contribute? What can I do? I can make. I remember there was a group in Canada or organized by Canadians to design something for Gaza. So they were building a very fancy hand for these kids in Gaza, and they were working on this. And I said, well, it wouldn't be nice if we kind of all share those learnings, right? And there's clearly a lot of people into that work. So I think that should be our next step. I'll send you an email, John, Sarah, and Jonathan, and Tom, if you want to be on that email chain as well. But we should decide what the first project's going to be, or maybe we just have a meeting about what the project should be, and then start what are people interested in. So we can list a group of projects. But I'd like to get your learnings. I have a couple of ideas. I think we definitely need a good above the elbow amputation prosthetic outside, even over their shoulder. Those are harder. Should we have, just like what Danielle was saying earlier, should we have people who are just missing a few fingers? Like, should we have generalized designs to where you can just a modular design? I mean, I'm just making things up. Like, so I think probably we should send out an email, something on the hub, calling all engineers, designers, prostheticists. We would like to start organizing or centralizing people who want to make new designs. Alexander, you had a thought?
Yeah, so on one hand, an idea for organizing this, make them as design challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Nerds and designers, and especially engineers, love those. Secondly, at least from my very limited experience with the last group when we tried to do this, have a specific use case in mind, not generic above the elbow. Bring a case, get two engineers working on it. The first engineer that does it gets some extra points and move on to the next case. And when you have 5 cases where the solution is exactly the same, that's the point where it's worth generalizing.
I see. So are you saying a design challenge before the collaboration? You're saying a design challenge before the collaboration? Is that what you mean?
So a design challenge for each user. Have the
Mhm.
design
He's saying
challenge, and when you see
get
multiple
an,
challenges with the same result, that's when when you have proper data to make a generalized solution.
he's saying secure the test pilot and have him be at the center of the design challenge.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. We'd have to find an above elbow that's local. We have a lot of above elbows in Uganda. I actually have trouble finding one in NorCal. I've been talking to prostheticists. If you guys know of above elbows who'd be some amputee who'd be willing to be a test subject.
Well, Daniela might, and I would imagine that there's a Latino community in your neighborhood also that might well have a number of people who don't have solutions.
I don't think Daniela is still here. We are over time.
Oh, okay.
That's right.
So
I have patience anyway.
we should wrap up, and John, if you want to let me know when you want to have the chapter leaders meeting in May.
May is a tough month, but if
Okay.
you remind me what my choices are, I'll try to find a slot.
Any Thursday from 12 to 1 Eastern. So just let me know which one.
It's pretty clear. Okay.
Which one works.
Madeline, one other note, because I heard that you were sort of focusing on the online needs. Do take a look at e-NABLE France. They have had, I think, a fairly well-running machine using this website for quite some time. So it's a proven model, and it's now available in English. And I imagine they would share that we could host locally if we wanted to. Just these wheels are hard to invent or reinvent, and if they have one we can use, it's something to take a look at.
Yeah, I do want to look at their marketing, but also, you know, the efforts they're doing behind the wheel. So I will maybe reach out to them personally. It sounds like they couldn't make this meeting, but yeah, we'll be doing that for sure.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. These transitions are difficult.
As one final note, I made a quick map and put it in the chat of our current partners.
I saw that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Okay. I'm going to stop the recording. Thanks, everyone.